Welcome to
What's New?
Welcome to What's New.
Hey, Abhishek, thanks for inviting me back to the channel for 2024.
Hey guys, Ash here from C4E Tech on What's News.
Hello, welcome to What's New. It's weird that I'm saying that, but I am.
Welcome to
What's New?
It's the end of the year as we know it, and I have reached out to some reviewers, content creators, people you like, people I like, people we all watch, and I've asked them a few questions. And just like last year, they've been gracious enough to take a little bit of time out from their very, very busy schedules and answer them. And this time I've thrown in a little bit of a doozy. It'll be fun. Here are the questions. I'll chime in at the end, and here's what they had to say. We'll start with question number 1. What is your favorite tech/audio product this year?
Standout audio product of this year. Can be a favorite or something that was unique in any way.
You going first? Me? Okay.
Yeah.
Don't call me a fanboy, but I'm gonna have to say the AirPods 4 ANC. That's my pick. Plainly because they are semi-in-ear buds, and so ANC was ANC when we first heard it.
Yeah.
I didn't believe it until I tried it.
We had so many of those, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't believe it until I tried it, and some serious engineering went into that product, and it just opens up this whole world of things are possible, even though you don't have that seal or whatever. So they defied a lot of the limitations that I had about semi-in-ear products.
I think you're going to be surprised with mine.
Okay.
Well, we just moved to a new studio, as you can see, and we have a ton of audio products that we had to move as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are wireless, and I thought such a waste. All these batteries that die over time.
True.
And we did speak to Fairphone this year about their Fairbuds. We interviewed them, we reviewed the product. Wasn't a great audio product, but it's still my favorite product of the year because it showed that a very small company with limited resources can make earbuds with replaceable batteries. I mean, what's the excuse for these bigger guys?
It's a Dutch company.
It's a Dutch company, so also
Proud.
Yeah. Fairbuds, Fairphone.
Fair world.
Big thanks to What's New for including me in this video. All right, number 1, standout audio product of the year. I actually have 2 for this. My standout audio product overall is the Sennheiser HD490 Pro, but I also want to give a quick shout out here to the Moondrop Cosmo. Now by default, it's not that comfortable and the sound is kind of colored, but I threw some Yaxi comfort pads on it and it makes it one of the best sounding headphones that I've heard, period. It's just, it's still a bit heavy. So my product of the year is the Sennheiser HD490 Pro because it does all those things that I think headphones should do, namely the ergonomics, the mechanical design are top notch, it's comfortable, and its sound is similar to the HD800S, maybe not quite as refined, but it does similar things.
A standout audio product this year. For me, it would be the Koss Pro Wireless 2, which isn't anything special, and we've already had previous versions of this headphone, but the Pro is just iconic, and I feel that this iteration is the best Pro that we've seen. It's also the most accessible and appealing to a larger market. It's something that I was very excited for, and I bought one the moment that it was available.
Hey, Abhishek, thanks for inviting me back to the channel for 2024. This year, you've got a handful of questions that, well, I'm gonna try to do my best to answer. So first of all, you've got, what is my standout audio product of the year? So for my standout audio product of 2024, there's a couple of ways I could answer this. You might expect me to pick an IM, and frankly, I probably should pick an IM, but I'm doing my own award show and I still haven't yet decided what is my favorite IM of the year. So instead, I'm gonna talk about these, which are digital audio players, specifically a couple of HiFiGo Android-based audio players. And why these things are standout for me is that Android audio players finally got good in the last year. Okay, technically this one came out the previous year, but this is the HiFiGo M300 and this is the HiFiGo R4. Both of these run decent processors in Android players that you can get for under $250 each. And I love the battery life on the M300. I love the R4 because it's got system-wide PEQ and a bunch of other really cool audio filters, and just really, I love these little devices, and the fact that you can get these things now for what used to be like 500 bucks minimum, now 250 bucks, or this guy, I've seen this thing on sale for like $130. Insane pricing. Frankly, this is kind of like my favorite standout audio product of the year.
This one's a very easy pick for me because It's gotta be Ioneo's Pocket Evo. It's a handheld with a 7-inch OLED display, something I've been waiting for a long time. I've been looking for the best handheld to stream on for a long time. I've done a lot of stupid stuff to try to get my hands on what I felt was the perfect device, and the Pocket Evo is the closest we've gotten to it. It's got that beautiful 7-inch OLED panel, full-sized Hall sensor sticks with Hall sensor triggers. It's just perfect for streaming. And not just streaming, because it's got a Snapdragon G3X Gen 2. It's great for native Android gaming as well as emulation. And emulation these days, well, there's another question, I will get to it.
Okay, for me, there are two answers to this question. One is more relevant to me, the other one is like this aspirational thing, okay? One, the Ray-Ban Metas. These I just got towards the end of the year, literally a month ago. They're awesome for a couple of reasons. Number one is that I just like the fact that they're a functional thing that I use anyway, and that if I want to record something, take a photo, video, I can do that and still remain in the moment rather than take my phone out and be staring at the screen and experience everything through a screen, which is ridiculous. I don't know why we do that, but I'm glad that in many cases we don't have to. Also, camera for such a small thing, surprisingly good. I'm very impressed with this. Also, the Meta AI, actually not bad. I do like the idea of just saying, hey, look at what's in front of me and tell me a little something about that thing. And quite often, it's kind of interesting at the very least. So yeah, Ray-Ban Meta for me is one of the coolest and most well-executed tech products that actually has made a difference to how I do something. The other is the Huawei Trifold. This is not within reach, it's too expensive, but if they can iterate and make it cheaper, I feel like that's the actual evolution of the folding phone, where you have a phone and then it rolls out into an actual, or it folds out into an actual tablet size thing rather than a sort of smaller tablet hybrid thing. I think it's very cool, but yeah, the Ray-Ban Meta for me. That brings us to question number 2. What is the coolest tech development this year?
The coolest tech development of the year. Shall I go first?
Go for it.
Is the iPhone camera control. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Fanboy.
Bait and switch. Bait and switch.
Yeah.
No. So I think for me, this happened very early in the year.
Okay.
When we were at CES, we interviewed the CEO of Neurable.
Oh yeah.
And I think
nice one.
it is still this year.
Nice one.
I mean, it feels like a long time ago. But the Neurable headphones, the Master Dynamic, which basically reads your brain waves and interprets that as input signal.
Yeah.
And you can do a bunch of stuff just by, thinking about it, basically.
Yeah.
So, and it basically measures focus, right? That's the first iteration, what it does.
Yeah.
I don't know if there are some new features added in the meanwhile, but there's the Master and Dynamic Neurable headphones. Very cool. We still haven't gotten our hands on them.
No, I was just about to say. Yeah.
But we tried them out and they were cool.
All right. My one for this one is going to be the AI in Ray-Ban Meta Glass. We bought them when we were at CES because they're not available where we are in the Netherlands. And of course, the AI features will not be available here yet. They are available in the US, I think to some. I think it's still being piloted, whatever. But looking at the first developments there, it's pretty cool what you can do with it. And I can definitely see myself using this, just walking about for directions, just navigation. It's seeing where I am at that moment and then telling me, okay, take a left here or whatever. And I want to get to that Google Glass moment where you have a little bit of augmented reality in the glasses. So I think this is a nice step towards that direction. And
Yeah, cool.
Coolest tech development this year. Now, if we're talking audio, no. There has been nothing cool that has been developed in audio this year. Everyone has failed, and everyone should feel shame. But for other stuff, I guess the default answer to that is like all the crazy stuff that's happened with AI in the last little bit, but it's really not that cool. It's just sort of annoying right now.
Coolest tech development this year, I'll be honest, this year has been pretty busy for me, so I haven't been keeping up that much out of my niche interests. But I will say that from the clips that I've seen, some of the recent developments in robotics seems pretty cool. I'm sorry I don't have a great answer for this one this time.
You had a question about what is the coolest tech of 2024? And there's a couple of ways I could answer that. Like the microplanars is kind of a new thing in 2024, but I don't usually get that interested in driver technology. But what I'm really interested in is this guy, well, or what this guy represents. So this is obviously the Arabus Acoustics Sierra. It's an open back dynamic driver headphone that is, importantly, 3D printed. This thing is kind of built by an independent custom headphone builder, and that is kind of the new technology that I think is actually really cool, is the fact that now technology is at the point where audiophiles, fans of music and headphones and the stuff that we're into can actually make and market their own headphones themselves, which is really interesting for a couple of reasons. So one, we're just gonna get more options. We're gonna get options from people that have the same sensibilities as us and sometimes don't have, let's say a little bit of an out of touchness that sometimes companies can have. But also, you know, it's kind of an interesting way for people in the audio business, especially like reviewers and stuff, to learn about how hard it is to actually make a headphone, what costs go into building a headphone. And because of that kind of stuff, I just think that's why this to me stands out as a really interesting technology development that, okay, certainly 3D printers have been around since before this year, but I feel like 2024 was kind of the breakout year for the 3D printed headphone.
Once again, a very, very easy pick, silicon carbon batteries. I mean, yes, SoCs have been getting more and more powerful, devices have been getting sleeker, yada, 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 but prices have also been going up. All these are very iterative upgrades, generational. We've been seeing smaller evolutionary changes, nothing revolutionary. But the battery capacity thing, the silicon carbon battery tech, I find that revolutionary because pretty much any device that you're using today, whatever it is, your phone, your tablet, your handheld, whatever you have, you could pack in a 20% higher capacity battery without changing anything about it. Not the thickness, not the weight, nothing's gonna change, but you could do that with silicon carbon tech. And now that we are seeing it on more and more devices, we just had a phone that launched with a 7000 mAh battery that did not look like a brick. It's just very exciting for me. It's easily the best development in the past few years.
Okay, for me the answer is a little bit, it's not about consumer tech. Okay, something has happened in the last couple of months that I think has a pretty big impact in theory. If you've ever been a student, you know how expensive it is to find research, to actually have access to somebody's published paper. It's very expensive on a paper by paper basis to pay for it, and if you have to subscribe to the journal, that is not cheap at all. And then you have certain aggregators or publishers like Elsevier, Science Direct that put them all under one umbrella and then charge you a ridiculous amount. I'm talking too expensive even if you live in a country that has a high minimum wage and whatnot. If you happen to be born in India, if you happen to be born somewhere in Africa, just forget it. And the effect of this is that it basically gatekeeps knowledge, which I think is the worst thing that we can do for ourselves. In this day and age especially, knowledge is not a luxury for the rich. It's a ridiculous concept. Now, the Indian government has just earmarked $720 something million to spend over the next 3 years and basically just buy all the subscriptions from the publishers. So they'll just pay for the journals, some 13,000 journals, and they're just gonna give their higher education institutions access. The government ones anyway. We're talking something that affects the university going population of a population of 1.5 billion people. That is, to me, incredible. If you have a huge number of students now suddenly being able to read about what's really happening in the world, and then instead of building things from scratch, stand on the shoulders of the giants that are working in those fields presently and past, and then build something new, how is that just not cool for everything? In my opinion, this is the coolest tech/science thing that has happened this year. Which brings us to question number 3. This one's a bit of a doozy, right? Okay, if for your future purchase decisions, you had to choose between A, a set of objective measurements that are reliable and good, or B, a set of subjective reviewers that you can watch, read, listen to, etc. But you had to choose one, which would you choose?
You have to choose one.
I know, yeah. I'm gonna go with a handful of subjective reviewers. I don't know, I think I associate myself with certain reviewers that review things in a particular style,
Yeah.
and value certain things that I could go by their recommendations. And I think for me, I'm more of a person that will consume content through YouTube mainly, and base my purchase decisions based on that, than just going through hardcore facts and measurements and all of that. Because I hope that reviewer has done that and given a kind of a picture of it. It won't be suitable for everyone, but then at least the ones I associate myself with, I will value. So
and I agree with you. I think objective is overrated. I mean, when we measure headphones, like the slightest degree of change on that headphones gives you a completely different sound. And it's very obvious when you're measuring it, so we have to measure them 5 times and take an average. So objective is also subjective if you think about it. In some cases, I know some people are going to shoot us in the comments for that, but I think objective without any context makes no sense. So I would of course prefer a combination, but given a choice, I would choose subjective because I can do multiple subjective.
What do you choose and why? I mean, for me, it's definitely an objective data set of measurements. The subjective stuff is you're at the mercy of human fallibility and what other people's internal language is for this stuff, which may not align with yours. Even the reviewers who I know very well think of this stuff the same way. Like even reviewers on my team, I would still choose an analysis of objective data over purely their subjective reports because our preferences and our experiences differ so widely. So at least when I have the objective data set, as long as I know what rig that's on and it's against its correct DFHRTF, so it has its correct calibration there, then I can make a better and more informed decision.
This is actually pretty hard. I will admit that my interests in products are usually piqued by measurements that are made available. I mean, just look at all the hype for some recent headphones when only the measurements were available. But to be honest, I would probably pick subjective reviewers whose opinions I trust. Sometimes the measurements don't fully reflect how a headphone or IEM will respond on someone's head, as their own head will influence how it sounds. As well, there are other things like just comfort, feel, and just in general how a product is to live with that I feel are valuable from subjective reviewers. And these important details could be missing in just measurement-based purchases.
The answer to that question, it can kind of depend. I'm gonna waffle a little bit on this, but I think I've got a decent sense for myself. Honestly, most of the times, measurements are the thing that catch my attention more often, just because, I don't know, I feel like everyone has different tastes. I know I watch and listen to a bunch of audio reviewers out there, and everyone's got different tastes, and finding the person that has exactly my tastes can be kind of hard. And also just frankly, a lot of people are kind of excited about almost everything, so it's kind of hard to find what are the companies or what are the reviewers that are hardest to impress. And a frequency response measurement, that's hard to fake. That said, I don't think the frequency response measurement tells you everything. It's just, if I'm looking for a quality of signal, a lot of people being excited about a headphone versus a really nice frequency response, oftentimes I find like a lot of people being excited about a headphone can just be like a passive hype, whereas a really good frequency response kind of just, it stands the test of time. And I've personally had the best luck with that. So there you go. Yeah, what does that say about me as a reviewer? I don't know.
Of course, I got 2 easy ones. Makes sense, I'd get one that's hard. Guys, this is gonna sound very hypocritical, but I don't trust reviewers. Honestly, I have big, long videos on how YouTube works on my channel. But basically, I don't, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice kind of stuff. I have been burnt looking at certain videos and buying certain things and then realizing there's something so obvious, how could they not talk about it? Well, yes, they were promoting it, right? Any which ways, I don't really base my buying decisions off reviewers. I kind of look at reviews from a perspective of, okay, how does this look? How would it feel? Okay, I get a rough idea of stuff, but mainly I go with objective data, benchmark scores, sensor sizes, battery capacities. Obviously, those are for phones, but more or less, it's those objective numbers that I look at. Again, I do understand benchmarks or MAH numbers aren't the be-all, end-all of everything, but they are a good benchmark for making purchase decisions. That's what I'd go off of. And of course, I would also check the brand's track record and what actual buyers or actual people have to say about the brand on places like Reddit. So yeah, that's that.
Okay, this wasn't meant to be easy, and I think my heart of hearts, I want to go with the subjective reviews. I'm going to make a couple of concessions just to make it an even playing field, right? The subjective reviewers in this question, let's say they're A, ethical, is a big issue, and B, they're consistent in their language and what it represents. That's a very big issue. If you've grown up in the 90s and the knots like me, you'll know how subjective reviewers were. They were horrendous. Don't even get me started on audio. Audio reviews were laughable at best, and don't even get me started on someone trying to give you a subjective review of a subwoofer in a room. It's, oh my God, the issues just, I'm not going down that rabbit hole now. That's not a fun headspace to be in. But we also need to make concessions on the other side, the objective side. Is the data set meaningful? Is it representative of what we want to know? And do we really know how to read that data set usefully? That's a big question. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know how to read properly even now. But assuming those two are true, in my heart, I want to say subjective reviews because I enjoy the process of going through subjective reviews and learning about a product through that. It's a fun product. I consume great literature, great content. It's fun. I enjoy the personalities, all of that. But if I'm being honest, if I look at my purchase history these last how many ever years, I've kind of always made decisions based on objective data sets almost completely. If I'm buying a new PC, I go and look at Gamers Nexus to see if they've reviewed some of those components that I'm trying to decide. If I want to buy speakers, I'm probably going to Erin's Audio Corner or Audio Science Review. IEMs and headphones, I probably just measure myself and figure it out. But my point is, despite what I enjoy about the subjective side of things, for actual buying decisions, which was the question, I'm going to go with the objective. That brings me to question number 4. What is the tech development or product that you would like to see in the coming year?
Which one is it?
I'll take off from my Fairbuds example, and Bang & Olufsen already this year they came up with a product, the 11, which has a replaceable battery. I really want to see the whole industry go there. I mean, I remember growing up in the 80s as a kid, and everything had replaceable batteries. How come we got here in 2024 where everything has a sealed-in, glued-in battery? I really don't get it. And those were cheap-ass products. So
miniaturization.
Yeah, well, bullshit. All this is bullshit you've been sold by the industry. None of this applies, trust me. So yeah, I hope that I see that trend continue in 2025.
Yeah? Okay. I mean, we're seeing that also on, interestingly, we have it here, the Biodynamic, right? Avento 300, replaceable ear cups, replaceable headband.
Yeah.
It's not the tech, right, that will destroy the planet, but okay, the batteries replacement would be the next logical step. But cool, nice one. My one would be a better implementation of Bluetooth that supports actual multi-point, not dual point. I think. Yeah. And I don't think I'm unique in this situation. I think more people have more than 2 devices.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? A personal laptop and a work laptop, or a personal phone and a work phone and a laptop, something like that, or an iPad, whatever it is, you have multiple devices. And so I would love, without having to be stuck in an ecosystem, because I know some of you are going to say, well, just do Apple and then it's all nicely connected. I know, but I meant like anything agnostic, and then it would just connect nicely. That would be really cool.
All right,
Dewey.
All right, so I'm pretty sure they're going to be releasing the RTX 5 series from NVIDIA. So I'm probably going to end up picking up one of those. I don't know which one yet. I don't know what the prices are going to be, but like I've seen some leaks. It's probably coming out. So that's pretty high on my list. I'm still using a 3080 from like years ago, which is great, but yeah, it's time. Other than that, yeah, I'm actually hoping somebody comes up with a really good noise canceling headphone. We're suffering in a sea of mediocrity when it comes to these products. I've just spent a lot of time reviewing them, and I'm reviewing more because that's just what I do now. It is a bit sad. So I hope somebody comes up with something that's really good, that actually nails the tuning, nails the comfort, nails the ANC capability, and also has good integration with spatial audio, Dolby Atmos. That's my wish list. And so far that doesn't exist. So I would like that. Okay, that is it for me. Once again, thanks to What's New for including me in this video.
It's gotta be the Valve Deckard VR headset by far. We've been waiting years for an upgrade from the Index, and leaks keep coming out suggesting that the new headset will be a mix of a Quest and a Steam Deck, being able to play your full Steam library as well as VR games standalone without a computer. The controllers have the same mapping as a Steam Deck, even including a D-pad along with triggers and bumpers. As well, new compatibility markers for non-Steam VR games are showing up that indicate how different non-VR games will be compatible with this hardware, being played in big theater mode mode in 3D, full 360 mode in 3D, or full VR mode with motion controls. This is a headset that I really think will shift the market, similar to how the Steam Deck did before it.
As far as new audio products, I'd be honest, looking forward into 2025 and just generally, I am kind of bad about anticipating things. I like going into can jams. People will often ask me, what are you most excited about? I'm like, I don't really know. When I hear it, I guess I'll find out. Maybe my imagination is just not that good. So, and I think my answer here is probably going to be a little bit unimpressive as well. What I'm looking for is players like these like budget Snapdragon 665 processors. Like these are, Android is getting really good as a digital audio player, and these are very nice little devices for the money, but they still have the problem. Their battery life is not fantastic. If someone can make one of these that just has 30 or 40 hours of battery life, and I know maybe you're thinking like, who needs 30 or 40 hours of battery life in a digital audio player? For me, I guess it's just because my first DAP that I bought was the Sony, oh man, gosh, was the NWA 45. It was a non-Android based player, and that thing I got about 40 hours of battery life. And now that's just kind of like in my head. That is the benchmark for good battery life in a DAP, and basically no DAP has done that well since then. So yeah, give me a DAP with 40, 50 hours of battery life. I'm gonna be super excited. I'll be super happy about that, but I don't know, I guess that'll do it for my answers. Again, thanks again for inviting me back to the channel for 2025. Thank you for letting me talk on what's new, and yeah, I guess I'm looking forward to what your answers are personally, and hope you have a good 2025. Cheers.
Now this is where I said I'll get back to emulation. I'd really like to see Winlator evolve. It's been super cool seeing ARM chips on Android get powerful enough for Windows emulation to be able to play proper Windows games on an Android device. That's just nuts. And when you think about it, Winlator is in its infancy, and I'm really excited to see how it evolves in 2025. Now Abhishek, if you want me to name a product, that's easy. Nintendo Switch 2, if it's not obvious by this point. I like handhelds. So yeah, Switch 2 is something I'm really looking forward to, especially because Nintendo has been, taking down all the emulators, which leads me to believe the Switch 2 is kind of gonna be very similar to the Switch 1, just more powerful. So emulation should happen pretty quickly, and devices like this, Switch 2, exciting times. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for having me on, Abhishek. Appreciate it. And if you guys haven't subscribed to What's New, go ahead, do that. Thumbs up, yada yada yada, all that stuff. Bye-bye. Ash out.
For me, it's very simple. Silicon carbon batteries. This has already happened. The Chinese smartphone market is basically just launched all their new phones with silicon carbon batteries, which are awesome because not only are they higher energy density, the devices are smaller, slimmer as well. I cannot stress as to how much of a generational leap this is for battery tech. Battery tech has been holding us back on so many fronts this last decade. So many. So any step towards solving that issue is a very good thing. And this is awesome. Also, I'm just sick of 1 day battery life. Give me a 3-4 day battery life. I want my Nokia battery life back, okay? This might make it happen. Silicon carbon batteries, it's already here. I want the big brands to adopt this and give us proper battery life in 2025, and then I'll just be significantly happier. And that brings us to a close of this year. I thank every reviewer content creator for the time they've taken to make this, much appreciated. And thank you for all of you who followed me on this journey through 2024. It's been a slow year on this channel, I know, but thank you. It's been fun. I'll see you in the next one. Stay happy, stay peaceful, stay colorful. Namaste.